Hey, this is Edward again, acquisitions.com, and I'm operating partner of a firm. And I wanted to create a quick video on how to create a simple letter of intent to buy a business. Letter of intent is a contract in between you, the potential buyer who's looking to buy the business, and then you can stipulate a lot of the terms and conditions and purchase price and everything else you need. So I want to create a quick checklist before you sign off and before you start building this properly. So let's just go through the checklist. At the end of the video, I'll show you a basic template. If you want to have access to the template, just book a call with me directly. So the main thing you need to do is you need to quickly model the deal from a financial perspective to figure out what the debt service cover ratio is. In a former video, I've outlined how that works on a fitness deal. So that way you can see how you quickly can identify debt service cover ratio and how you're going to understand if a deal typically makes sense and you want to pursue it or you don't want to pursue it. Before you start spending more time on having calls with brokers and sellers, you want to do that on deals quickly to high level understand if the specific assumptions they have in the listing kind of they make sense for you financially. If they don't, you don't spend time and you want to send an LOI. The next step would be to make sure you have a few calls with these individuals. So you want to make sure that you're building a tight relationship so that they can share more challenges, more about what they want as well. That is only done through either a face-to-face meeting or it's done through a Zoom conference call or a phone call to be able to understand what they want. Typically, there's going to be a broker that represents the deal. So the first thing you want to figure out is what the broker actually wants. They want to make money at the end of the day. So you need to understand how they're making money in that particular deal. Maybe they have a commission, maybe they have a retainer, maybe they have both. Maybe they have a tight relationship with a seller. Maybe they even own a chunk of that company. You never know. So you need to understand how they got involved with a seller, what they want so that you can understand how to serve these people as well. But broker are very important for the deal, so you need to take care of them and you want to understand how to collaborate with these people as well. Now, after you figure that out, you need to figure out the challenges on the personal level that the seller has. Typically, they want to retire. They want to get out of the business because of retirement. So you want to understand all the intricacies on that, how long they've been thinking about it, why now, what's the reason they want to go and retire. You want to go deeper into that to understand the challenges, and then you want to understand what they want to do after they retire. Let's say they retired, if you're going to get paid a few $1 million from you, or from the bank you're going to get a loan from. Well, in that case, what do they want to do with the money? They want to invest in a different venture, they want to relax, they want to travel the world, or you want to understand the intricacies and the goals the seller has because you're going to use this later on down the road in a letter of intent or in negotiations, right? You can customize everything to the seller. And then you want to also understand the challenges the business has because all the terms and conditions that we're going to include in LOI is going to somewhat solve some of these challenges. Let's say they have debt. Maybe, hey, you got to get rid of that debt or you got to restructure the debt. Or let's say they have due payments to taxes. Well, you can include that in the LOI. Or maybe they have issues with working capital. Well, you can include that in the letter of intent. Or let's say they have some other issues of a business that need to be addressed in the contract. So you're going to figure this out with that. Maybe you have real estate and you need to not buy the real estate, but you want to just lease it. So you want to create a plan for that in the contract. Or maybe you just want to buy the real estate with a business on top of that. You're looking for the basic financials as well, last 3 years of current updated financials from the last year. Just you want to make sure that last 5, 8, 10 months are fairly profitable. You don't want to buy a business that's not profitable today. And then you want to understand on the later calls with the seller or from the broker what they want in terms of price, terms on seller financing if possible, and then maybe any additional clauses or additional needs they have on assets or something else. So that's typically going to be done later because if you do that right away up front, what happens is you're not going to be as transparent, as open, as trustworthy with you. So they're not going to possibly share all these details right away with you. So the more time you spend with them on calls, then you can figure out a bit more specifics and then you can create a better, more custom letter of intent. Here's just a simple example of a template if you see my screen. It's essentially covering a lot of these details, and then you can change them depending on who you're talking to and what you're doing. Of course, you can add in more things in this, but if you want to have access to this, just directly message me on LinkedIn. I'll give you a way to book a call with me, and we can go from there. But that's just a simple video to how to think about creating an LOI. Thanks.